ironically, Candace Parker is in a little bit of a hot seat right now.
Yeah, she probably shouldn't go to Chicago.
You won't believe what Candace Parker has just done. She's been one of the most respected figures in the WNBA for years, but right now, she's in a little bit of hot water. And it's not for the reasons you'd expect. Candace just broke an unspoken rule in the WNBA, and now the mob is coming for her. But here's where it gets crazy. This whole thing isn't just about Candace, it's about the future of women's basketball itself. Stick with us as we dive into the drama that's heating up the WNBA. Candace has been a steady figure in women's basketball for nearly 2 decades. A former MVP, a multi-time All-Star, and an Olympic gold medalist, Candace Parker has seen and done it all. But recently, something about her public stance has sparked a firestorm of controversy. And in case you've missed it, this all revolves around the rising star of the WNBA, Caitlain Clark. So why is Candace Parker, one of the biggest legends of the game, under attack for simply defending Caitlain Clark? What does this mean for the future of the WNBA, and why is it causing such a stir within the league? Before we dive into all of that, let's take a step back. The landscape of women's basketball has shifted dramatically in the past few years. It's no longer just about the players, it's about the business. Caitlain Clark, with her explosive style of play and ability to break records, has become the most marketable athlete the WNBA has seen in decades. And now Candace Parker is being dragged into the debate about the league's future, forced to pick a side in the most public way possible. Caitlain Clark, you can't talk about the WNBA without her name coming up. In the last few years, she's become a phenomenon. With historic ratings, sold-out arenas, and record-breaking performances, she's been powering the growth of the league in ways no one could have imagined. 4th in MVP voting, single-season assists record holder, and Times Athlete of the Year in her rookie season. This isn't just another player. Caitlain Clark is the WNBA's biggest star, and she's still breaking barriers. But Caitlain Clark's success has also shined a glaring spotlight on an uncomfortable truth. The WNBA, for all its progress, is still a league full of institutional barriers, outdated perspectives, and perhaps even a bit of jealousy. Caitlain's meteoric rise didn't just help her become a household name, it exposed the cracks in the league's management and its reluctance to fully embrace the game-changing power of female athletes. Despite her extraordinary rise, Clark faces criticism from unexpected quarters. People who should be celebrating her achievements are instead trying to diminish them, as if her success is somehow threatening to the established order. And what's even more troubling is that the league, despite benefiting from Clark's popularity, has actively downplayed her contributions, whether through media manipulation, subtle dismissals, or simply refusing to acknowledge the impact she's having on the sport. It's not just about the numbers anymore. Caitlain Clark has become a symbol of what the WNBA could be if it stopped playing defense and started playing to win. But as we know, change isn't always welcomed, especially when it challenges the status quo. But here's the catch. There's an unspoken rule in the WNBA right now. You can't just celebrate Caitlain Clark's success. You've got to balance it out by praising everyone else too. The moment you say she's been a game changer without throwing in, but everyone else is just as important, you risk becoming a target. And that's exactly what Candace Parker is learning the hard way. For months, Candace has been praising Caitlain, but this week, she took it further. Not only did she defend Caitlain from some of the dumbest talking points floating around, but she also turned the spotlight back on the players pushing those false narratives. It's not hard to see why Candace would feel compelled to speak out. After all, as one of the most decorated players in the history of the WNBA, she knows the weight of her words. She also knows how hard it was for players like her to carve out a space for women's basketball in the mainstream. So when Caitlain Clark comes along, shattering records and drawing attention from fans and sponsors alike, it should be a cause for celebration, not division. But here's where the unspoken rule comes into play. In the WNBA, you can't simply celebrate one player's success without acknowledging the contributions of everyone else. It's as if the league and its fans are afraid that praising one player too much will somehow diminish the efforts of others. It's a flawed mentality, one that undercuts the individuality and greatness of players like Caitlain Clark. Candace knows this, and that's why she's been steadfast in her support of Caitlain. This isn't just an opinion, it's facts. Take ESPN's handling of the All-Star Game ratings. They conveniently skipped over the fact that Caitlain Clark's absence led to a 36% drop in ratings. Why? Because if they compared this year's game to last year's, they'd have to admit the obvious: Caitlain Clark makes everything better. But instead of facing that reality, they buried it and went back to 2023 to avoid admitting that truth. This is the old guard's greatest hit, downplaying Caitlain's impact while trying to make the league look like it's thriving without her. The numbers don't lie. When Caitlain Clark isn't on the court, viewership plummets. But the WNBA and media outlets like ESPN continue to push a narrative that the league is doing just fine without her. They've set up the strange dynamic where Caitlain's greatness is downplayed and everyone else is elevated to her level regardless of actual performance. It's as if they're trying to rewrite history, glossing over the very factors that have propelled the WNBA into a new era. And let's not forget the 2023 All-Star Game. ESPN made sure to compare it to previous years, excluding Caitlain Clark from the equation. Why? Because they knew, deep down, that without her presence, the ratings would have been disastrous. But instead of confronting the truth, they chose to ignore it, and the WNBA let them. This isn't a coincidence. This is a carefully orchestrated move to diminish Caitlain's role in the league's recent growth. Now, let's talk about Angel Reese for a moment. She's a fantastic player, no doubt. But let's be real for a moment here. She's not on Caitlain's level when it comes to talent or economic impact. And here's where Candace really stepped into the fire. She's the only one willing to say it. Caitlain Clark is at the top. The truth? Angel Reese is not in the same category yet. And that's exactly what the WNBA doesn't want to hear. If you dare to say it out loud, you'll be labeled a hater. But Candace didn't flinch. She said it loud and clear. Caitlain Clark is the most talented player right now, and no amount of backlash is going to change that. It's not that Angel Reese is a bad player, far from it, but when you compare her to Caitlain Clark, the differences are glaring. Caitlain is not just a phenomenal player, she's a cultural phenomenon. Her influence goes beyond the basketball court. Her jersey sales, her social media following, and her ability to sell out arenas have made her the face of the WNBA in a way that no one else has. Not even close. And yet, there's this constant push to put Angel Reese on the same pedestal, even though her impact hasn't come close to Caitlain's. Candace, in her wisdom, understands this, and that's why she's willing to stand up and say what no one else will. Caitlain Clark is the player that the WNBA should be rallying behind. And the truth hurts, but sometimes the truth is exactly what's needed to cut through the noise and get the league back on track. Here's where it gets even more interesting. Candace wasn't just defending Caitlain, she was calling out the WNBA's obsession with tearing her down. When asked about the resentment in the league, Candace didn't sugarcoat her answer. She straight up told the WNBA, stop being insecure, stop being jealous, and start focusing on the amazing fact that Caitlain Clark is about to make everyone rich. And boom, the outrage hit, but Candace didn't apologize. She doubled down. And that's what makes this whole thing so important. Candace is one of the few who understands Caitlain's impact and isn't afraid to stand up to the old guard. But this wasn't just about defending Caitlain, it was about defending the future of the WNBA. Candace knew that the league's growth depended on embracing Caitlain Clark's meteoric rise. Without her, the WNBA would remain in the shadows, overlooked and undervalued. With Caitlain, the WNBA has the chance to transcend its past struggles and become a global powerhouse. But for that to happen, the league had to stop fighting against Caitlain's success and start celebrating it. Now, let's talk about the Indiana Fever for a moment. There's been this narrative that the Fever are better without Caitlain Clark, and Candace was having none of it. Yes, the Fever have been winning games, but that doesn't mean they're better without Caitlain. Candace made it clear, when Caitlain comes back, the Fever will be contenders. This narrative of the team being better without her, it's just another attempt to diminish her value. But the truth is clear, with Caitlain, the Fever will be unstoppable. The narrative that the Fever are better without Caitlain Clark is one of the most absurd things being peddled right now. Yes, the Fever have had success in her absence, but they've also been missing the most electrifying player in the game. When Caitlain returns, they're not just going to be contenders, they're going to dominate. This is a team that, with Caitlain's leadership, could easily be the best in the league. But as long as the league continues to push this ridiculous narrative, we'll never see it. So here's the real question. Will the WNBA continue to resist embracing Caitlain Clark's massive impact, or will they finally realize she's the future? Candace Parker has already shown what true leadership looks like. While others are stuck in petty battles, Candace is thinking long-term. She's not just defending Caitlain, she's defending the future of the league. If the WNBA wants to grow, they need to stop fighting the truth and start celebrating Caitlain Clark's undeniable influence. Drop a trophy in the comments to show Candace the love and respect she deserves for speaking out.